Hello and welcome to Filmi Ladies. We are Pitu and Beth, and this episode is a continuation of our color series. As you can tell from the outfits that both Beth and I are wearing today, today's color is yellow, or as Indian kids like to say, yellow, yellow, dirty fellow. I don't know why we say that, but whatever. So, yellow is one of those colors that has so many amazing, joyous, positive associations. It's the color of the sun, it's happy, it's cheery, it's sunshine on a cloudy day. It's just like a very optimistic, vivacious, bubbly, happy kind of a color. But it also has some negative associations, especially if you come from a tropical, hot country like India. Sometimes that same sunshine can become really oppressive and really hot. And, yellow also traditionally has some associations, not so much in India, but it does have certain connotations with like cowardice, like we say yellow bellied coward. And then, it has some associations with envy that it shares with green. And when I think of the negative associations of yellow, I always think of fear because, and this is a little bit gross, but yellow is the color that directors always use when they want to show that someone is terrified. They either show the actor on screen piss their pants or they show them vomit, and like both the color of
Hmm.
as well as bile is yellow. And so it's just this very interesting color. And I'm so happy with the choice of movies that Beth and I picked for today because Beth is very much on the positive end of the yellow spectrum. Her movie is very positive, cheerful, bubbly, happy, vivacious, vibrant, all of the things. And mine is very much a noir movie. It's a whodunit. There's a lot of seediness in it. There's a lot of, the oppressive side of yellow. So the movie she picked is Khoobsurat, which is the 2014 movie starring Sonam Kapoor and Fawad Khan. And then the movie I picked is the 2007 cult classic Manorama Six Feet Under starring Abhay Deol and Gulpanag. And I find it so funny and also so obvious that both of us picked movies that are set in Rajasthan, which is,
I
of
feel a little
course,
bad about that, but here we are.
it's fine. For green, I picked Kerala. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we could have picked Rajasthan for orange as well, but we
Hmm.
stuck to it for yellow, and like that's fine. So I'm sure most people know what the story of Khoobsurat is, but do you mind just giving a quick synopsis and why you thought of this film for the color yellow? It's going to be a little harder for me to give a Manorama synopsis because for the
Yes.
first time ever, I want to avoid giving spoilers for a movie. So you go first.
I picked this because this movie just glows with yellow throughout the whole film. I was really watching. I mean, in my head, this is a very yellow forward film, but I was, specifically watching for it. And it's everywhere in this movie, partly, and not really the landscape so much because they're not out in the countryside very much, but when they are, obviously there's, sort of desert-ish, dry dirt vibes. But, the palaces are that beautiful kind of golden glowing stone that
The
is
sandstone.
so beautiful. This movie does make one wonder, where is the line between yellow and gold?
Right.
And we do plan to do metallics at some point in this series, but I went ahead with yellow simply because the stones they are golden, but they are not obviously metallic. And just the warmth of Sonam Kapoor's character Millie in this
Mm.
movie is so, like, she's just so sunny, she's positive, she's um not quite indefatigable, but it is hard to fatigable her.
Yeah.
Fatig her. Uh,
Even though the grumpy camel in this movie tries
right.
very hard, the
Grumpy
grumpy
Camel
camel, of course,
definitely
being
really
Avad.
tries hard, but there's also a lot of they're beautiful brass antiques in the palace, the golden yellow fibers in the carpets, in the
Mm.
upholstery. There's a lot of gold borders of fabric. There's,
The
kind
zari and the silks,
of
yeah.
brass tinged dining ware, if I recall correctly, and a lot of lights at nighttime, which of course tend to glow kind of a golden color. So
Hmm.
it has both day and night in it, and the little turrets on the palace, those little like pavilion types of structures. I apologize for not remembering the name of those structures, but so if you took yellow out of this movie, there would still be a lot of colors left because she is so colorful a lot of
Yes.
the time, but it would be much less. just warm. I feel like, and this is also just a very good-natured film. This is a
Mhm.
rom-com. This is a if you haven't seen it, let me do the plot summary. So it is obviously inspired by the 70s Khoobsurat, but this is the a remake that, if I recall correctly, a lot of people were very angry about. But I personally don't feel that they really, I mean, this feels very different to me, this movie.
Mm.
So I kind of think of it as an adaptation more than a remake.
Mm.
That said, this is the one I go to. Like, I've seen this one more than I've seen the Rekha one, which I know is shocking. This is the only performance of Sonam Kapoor that I truly like. I think she's okay in Vera the Wedding, but I think she's stronger here.
Mm. Do
Um,
you like her in Aisha? I like her in Aisha.
yeah, she's okay. She's okay. Yeah, that's true. I just feel like she was kind of born for this particular character, and the people around her are also extremely strong. So she's, very ably supported by the other cast here. Excuse me, there's allergy stuff going on outside today. Um,
You know what else is yellow? Poland, Beth.
oh, pollen is so yellow. Pollen is so yellow. Flowers are yellow, bless them. Um, so this she plays a physiotherapist who comes to this Rajasthani royal household to try to help the dad with his I don't know what exactly his issue is, but he was in a car accident 10 years
Mm.
ago. His legs, he uses a wheelchair. It seems as though he cannot walk. But she quickly discovers that there's more going on with him than meets the eye, because he's in better shape than she would have thought, but he refuses to do his exercises. And she finds out, spoiler, I guess, that 10 years ago he was in a car accident that killed his elder son.
Mm.
And so this is a as an emotional issue as much as it is a physical issue, which is often so true with health. So and then
Remind me who plays the wheelchair bound.
the dad is played by Amir Raza Hussain, who
Okay.
I don't think is an actor that I know. He's mostly a theater actor, I believe.
Okay.
And then Radna Patak Shah is his wife, who is rules this house with an iron fist, as we saw in the original Khoobsurat. And then their second son is Fawad Khan, literally a Disney prince.
Yes.
I mean, what more needs to be said? He's perfect in this
Hmm.
film, and he's wearing, like velvet jackets and always very buttoned up, and he's a
Yeah.
businessman, and they have heritage hotels. Because what other business could someone in Rajasthan possibly have other than a
Right.
hotel? And I don't know if that's all that they do, but that's what we see him doing business about.
Mhm.
He has a fiance who is a DT Roy Rao Hydari, who is just in it a
Oh.
little bit. There's a younger sister who wants to be an actress, but her mother in particular is like, no, you are studying to go to Oxford and that's what you're doing or else. So of course the interloping half Punjabi, half Bengali. I feel like there was a moment there where all the movies were about Bengali, Punjabi.
Mhm.
And of course, Rocky or Rani has that as well. But
Mhm.
Vicky Donor had that, right? And
Mhm.
yeah. Anyway, I guess if you want to take stereotypes of the northern half of India to make comedy ensue, those are the two that you go for.
Right.
Um, her mother is Kiran Kher, which, who we've spoken about a little bit lately as the Punjabi Ma, but there's the right amount of her here. You don't need any
Okay.
more. To me, it's not too much. Um, Millie thaws thaws the people of the palace, and eventually the dad does start doing his exercises after she kind of works on him to just kind of have some fun moving his body in ways that he's able. So like she has him play Wii tennis, for example, which I thought was really quite smart, actually. I don't know
Mm.
if they consulted actual physiotherapists, but I felt like as much attention as you want to give the medical stuff in this film, which is minimal, it was convincing enough that it wasn't distracting to me
Mm.
anyway, because sometimes when you see doctoring or whatever, or as we were speaking about in our last episode, when, someone sucks the snake poison out of someone or whatever, like this feels reasonable, reasonable.
Right.
Um, And yeah, it's super charming. I mean, it's Sneha Kanwalkar, who is one of my very
Yeah.
favorites. Like the music is so fun in this movie.
Yeah.
Fawad obviously is not going to be doing big dance numbers, and he does not in this
Right.
has fun, dancing with the palace staff and things like that. But I just this is another favorite of mine. It's maybe not quite a comfort watch, but I have watched it many times. I find it extremely charming. I don't remember if I've actually ever shown it to someone who's new to Hindi cinema, but I think I certainly would. I think it would, I think people could pick up what it's putting down, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
you don't have to be in on a lot to appreciate this film, I think. But
Mhm.
my understanding is that this is not a particularly beloved film.
Yeah.
But I wish it were. I just think it's so charming, and I know quite a few people who do like it, but my sense is generally it's kind of like, meh. And if you
Yeah.
haven't seen it and you're not seeing it because you don't like Sonam, I understand. I would encourage you to try it anyway because it's incredibly cute.
Yeah. I was actually reading Google reviews. Well, first I went on Rotten Tomatoes to see what people had to say about Khoobsurat. And Rotten Tomatoes has gotten this Khoobsurat and the Urmila and Sanjay Dutt Khoobsurat confused because there was a picture of Sonam Kapoor and then it said a con man tries to. I was like, but there's no con man in this Khoobsurat.
Oh.
What are they talking about? Because they were. So Rotten Tomatoes has us confused. Then for fun, I went on Google. Google reviews always crack me up. So I wanted to look up the Google reviews for Khoobsurat, and there was one that was just like making me laugh. And there's just like one little paragraph that I loved from it where it said, all, especially parents, king and queen of fort, still feel guilt or sad about their lack of caring or something like that, which makes queen over caring and king becomes unmotivated about his life and don't want to overcome or treat his ill legs. So I'm forever going to refer to things as ill legs. But I think for me, I have seen Khoobsurat just one time. And I think my first thought was like the audacity to take a beloved Rekha
Yeah,
movie and
yeah.
cast Sonam Kapoor in it.
Why not just write a different one, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Like just write a completely different one. Don't take that extremely iconic
Look at
one,
that.
especially with Rekha. I
Right.
mean, I understand, I completely understand the point of taking a movie that you could see that it has like a lot of potential
Mhm.
and you just wish they would remake it with someone better. That I
Oh, yeah.
understand.
This
But
did not need to be Sonam Kapoor in any
it
way.
did
It could have
not.
been,
No.
I don't know who would be a good, so who's one of her peers? Deepika
Yeah.
would have been good in this. Like I mean,
I
anyone
feel
could have
like
done what she did.
Anushka Sharma has done this sort of
Anushka
movie.
Sharma would have been good
Like,
in this. Yeah.
wasn't didn't she do a movie called Patiala House or something? Like she's done this kind of movie where she's the breath of fresh air person who comes in and there's all these like stiff upper lip people and they're all like
And
boring and she
obviously,
livens
like
them up.
City Zinta would have been amazing.
Yes.
Not in 2014 when this was made. She was basically out of commission
Yeah.
by then, I guess. But I mean, she could have done the role if they had thought to
Right.
call her or whatever. But yeah, you
Yeah.
need a breath of fresh air actress. There's always one in every generation, I think.
Yes.
But Sonam, yeah, this did not need to be Sonam, but I did think she acquitted herself well. What did
Yeah.
you think as you remember it?
I mean, as I remember it, I found her grating, but
Mm,
that's because I always find Sonam Kapoor grating. I think the only movie I've ever seen of Sonam Kapoor's where I did not find her grating or unbearable was actually Aisha. And I think it's because overall that movie really worked for me and I really liked Abhay Deol. I love the music of Aisha. I do like the story, the original Emma, and I love Clueless so much. But even when I say that I liked Sonam Kapoor and Aisha, is she as good as Alicia Silverstone in Clueless? Absolutely not. Like there's no chance. Like there's a limit to how good Sonam Kapoor can be. So I think that was annoying. And then I also vaguely remember that in 2014 when this movie was coming out and Sonam Kapoor was just like being her usual delulu self. I so much of Sonam Kapoor's unlikability, I think it's a little hard to see where she's just unlikable as an actor and how much of it is just the stuff she says. Like she's
mm.
the queen of delusion. And I remember in our Rani Mukherjee episode, which was just the last episode before this, and we were talking about Savaria, and you were like, someone clearly does not like Sonam because they cast Rani in Savaria. And I remember thinking that and being like, yes, but Sonam probably thought that Rani was no competition to her. Like Sonam being Sonam probably thought she was gonna outshine Ranbir Kapoor and Rani Mukherjee, so
Oh
she
dear.
doesn't think that way.
Oh dear.
Um, but I also don't feel like this Khoobsurat was like bad. I think I would have liked this movie more if I hadn't seen the original or if the
Sure.
original didn't exist. But that one just casts such a long shadow, and then the addition of Sonam just makes it bad. I actually like Fawad in this. I will say that he's not necessarily like needed in this movie because he's such a fine actor, especially if you have seen, which I'm
I
sure you've seen,
agree.
Kapoor and Sons, and
Agree.
he's
Yeah.
just like overshadows
Yeah.
everybody in that film. Like poor Siddharth Malhotra, like no one's gonna look at Siddharth Malhotra when Fawad Khan is there in the scene, acting his heart out. But this movie, Fawad's character is similar to Rakesh Roshan's character in the original Khoobsurat. Like it's like he's kind of just there and he's pretty, which I have no problems with. Of course, it's Fawad Khan looking gorgeous in like Jodhpurs and like the outfits and,
Mhm.
looking to the manner born. So it's not a criticism of him, but it's also like it could have been anyone else too, although I'm not mad that it's Fawad. I did remember enjoying Ratna Pathak Shah in it, but that's because I always enjoy her. The movie is pretty, I'll give it that. The music is good, I'll give it that. I think the original Khoobsurat just casts a really long shadow on it. But by itself, it's not like a bad movie. And I don't actually know enough about the Khoobsurat criticism to know why people don't like it. I just don't. I just know why I don't like
I
it.
mean, I think it's
Right?
that the audacity to remake the original.
Yeah. Especially because it's Rekha.
And it may have been doomed from the start.
Yeah. I
But
actually think that if they had, and they have made some changes in this, right? Like she is a physiotherapist. So she
Mhm.
goes there to do a job,
Mhm.
which is not the case in the original Khoobsurat. In the original Khoobsurat, Rekha is just kind of like hanging out at her married sister's house and just chilling over there on her holidays. Like there's no real purpose for Rekha just being there. But in this one, at least they've changed it somewhat. Like she's there in a professional capacity and stuff. But I almost wish that it had been a completely different, because these kind of stories have been done before, right? Where there's these like stuck up, uptight people, and then this breath of fresh air, free spirited person comes and just upends everything. And there's all this hullabaloo. And eventually people realize the error of their ways, which in a way was what the Rocky character was doing in Rocky and Rani Ki Prem Kahani, right? Like he goes there
Right.
and there's this upends everything.
And it's almost like
Um,
what Sanjay Dutt does in the other
yes.
Cluster, right? Which we did talk about in our Mila episode, where he's the
Yeah.
interloper into the house. Now he has a nefarious purpose,
Yes.
which these others don't. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's also a very yellow movie, like you said. When I had initially thought about doing Manorama 6 Feet Under for this episode, I was like, God, I have to pick something that's not set in Rajasthan. But I love that movie so much I couldn't help it. But like you think of yellow landscapes, you immediately do think of Rajasthan.
and
You think of those
buildings, right? It's not
beautiful,
just the land; it's also the
yeah.
structures
It's
significant. Like
also,
we could have done like I don't know, some of the beautiful monuments in Old Delhi have some of the
yeah.
golden sandstone in them or something like that. But it was I don't know. And
Or
obviously there's movies with yellow flowers, for example. But,
hmm.
I didn't want to talk about DDLJ.
Or even movies set in the hinterland, right? Like movies set in like Bihar or something, or Haryana, like Omkara is a very yellow movie, so
Mhm.
it's very yellow and it's very brown, so there's movies like that as well. But yes, this movie is Khoobsurat is so yellow, not just in terms of the visual aspect, but just the cheeriness and
Yeah.
the idea of someone just being like, take a chill pill. You don't have to be so stuck up all the time. Just have a laugh. It's not
Yeah.
that hard.
Yeah.
And I feel like people just in general like those movies, right? Because like, why so serious?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I picked Manorama 6 Feet Under because I love this movie. I will try not to give spoilers because I really want everyone to see this film. I was very pleased to see in some of the recent YouTube comments we got that there were like one or two movies that people watched because we had recommended. And I was like, wow, people listen to us. That's amazing. So Manorama 6 Feet Under is a loose adaptation of Chinatown, which is one of my all-time favorite noir films. And I actually rewatched Chinatown because I was so excited. And then I immediately watched Manorama 6 Feet Under the next day. So without giving the story away, it's about this guy, Abhay Deol, who is amazing in this movie. He lives in a tiny little town in Rajasthan called Lakot. I don't know if that's a real place or
Mhm.
fictional, but it looks like some dusty, quiet, small town in Rajasthan. And he works for the water department, like the public works department, technically. And he's married to Gulpanag, who is hysterical. She is like kind of a stay-at-home wife, but also someone who runs a beauty parlor, or you never actually see her with like customers or anything, but
Yeah.
she owns a beauty
Yeah.
parlor. you just see the beauty parlor. And they have a son, and he is a frustrated novelist. So he has only written one book ever, and only 200 copies were sold, much to his chagrin. And that book was called Manorama 6 Feet Under. And it sounds like a very pulpy novel, which made me want to read it. And he gets embroiled in this kind of whodunit where he's almost asked to do detective work despite not being a detective at all. He's suspended from his job. So he's like, fine, whatever, I'll do it. And he gets trapped in this political web where nothing is as it seems, and at its core there's these issues with a canal that's going to be built that is hopefully going to bring water to that part of Rajasthan, because at the outset of the movie he talks about how it hasn't rained for 3 years in an already drought stricken state, and how difficult it is. In one of the earlier scenes of this movie, he comes home from work and he's like all sweaty and gross, and he wants to take a shower. And when he's taking a shower, Gulpanag, who is hysterical, is yelling from the, she's like, पानी पे मेहरबानी करना, तुम्हारे ससुराल से नहीं आया है. Like, try not to use too much water. It's not your in-laws who are gifting you a water tanker. Poor thing. He's like trying to be like miserly with the water that he's using to shower. And it's just this very visually, it's a different side of Rajasthan than you see. We're so used to seeing the romanticized, gorgeous Rajasthan, literally the land of kings. We're so used to seeing these beautiful palaces and forts. I mean, it's such a picture perfect, beautiful state. But there's also the other side of Rajasthan that is not romanticized, which is a land of abject poverty. There is so much it's the life for like the normal lower middle class or poor person in Rajasthan is hard. There's not a lot of employment. There's water issues. It's a difficult living. And there's all these tiny, dusty little towns where there's not much happening. And I think all these long shots of Abhay Deol on his motorcycle, and just the barrenness and the oppressiveness of the heat. Like, you can feel the heat in this movie. I have only been to Rajasthan once in my life, and that was in February, which is technically the best time to go to Rajasthan. Like, it is the most pleasant time. And even in February in the afternoon, my husband and I would come back to our hotel because it was like, no, we would head out early and do the sights and everything, and then go back to the hotel in the afternoon for air conditioning and go back again in the evening. Like, it's oppressive, even in the winter months. And so it's visually very yellow. There's also some amazing concepts of like fear. And Kulbhushan Kharbanda is in fine form here with his BDE. He's the politician. He's very nefarious. And he is just, you can see he's really enjoying himself being like a terrible person. And he has all the power in this little town. He also used to be the Raja of Lakot, because of course he was. And now he's just this politician. And Sarika is in this movie. Raima Sen is in this movie. And I actually really like her in this film. Yeah. And she has like a very interesting role to play, let's just say. But Abhay Deol really is the heart of this film. He is such a good actor. And
what happened to him?
I know, he has a reputation for being really difficult to work with. I wonder if that has something to do with it, but he's really good. I love him in Sochanatha. I love him in Aisha. He's such a grumpy camel in Aisha. I love him in this movie. I love him in Oy Lucky Lucky Oy. He's really talented. I like him in Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara as well, even though in that movie I find Hrithik Roshan's character more entertaining just because he's so like over the top workaholic. But Abhay Deol really conveys that sort of like everyman thing where he does such a good role where he's like trapped in this boring suburban life of his, and he wants to break out of it. And he wants this flight of fantasy as being like a novelist. And there's this funny running gag between him and Gulpanag where every time she's irritated with him, which is always, she says things like, I had so many wedding rishtas, I didn't have to marry you. There was a rishta from Jaipur, those people own 3 sari shops. And they're always like sparring with each other, and they have great chemistry as well. Also, this is now the second time I've seen Gulpanag play a housewife who has like a heart of gold, but who's also a grumpy camel all the time. Because she's in Patal Lok, which is a streaming show. I saw Patal Lok 1 and 2. And in that as well, she is this like very irritable housewife, but she's so amazing. And in both Manorama Six Feet Under as well as in Patalok, she's mostly wearing maxis, which I hate with every fiber of my being. So she wears these ghastly maxis with a dupatta and bindi. Her hair is in a bun, Mangal Sutra, and she typically has like flower or something on her hands. But she's so funny, and I want to see more of. I want to see more of Gulpanag. Also, I was looking up the Wikipedia for Navdeep Singh, who is the director for Manorama Six Feet Under, and I was like, why don't we have more movies made by this man? So this was his debut film, and then 8 years later he did NH10, which is the Anushka Sharma production, and then he also worked on Patal Lok, which is also an Anushka Sharma production and has Gulpanag in it as well. And so I did this, like I went down this rabbit hole of why haven't we seen more work by Navdeep Singh, because his filmography is very minimal. And apparently he had tried to get two movies made, Basra something and Rock the Shadi, and both films were shelved within 20 days of starting production. Both films starred Abhay Deol as well, so it looks
Oh.
like maybe a run of bad luck or something. He said in an interview that his projects were deemed commercially not viable. So I don't know what's with that, but he's apparently making a new movie, and it's set in Vancouver, and I think it's like it's a Punjabi gangster in Vancouver, and it's called Canada, and it stars Diljit Dosanjh, Anushka Sharma as well. So I am interested in seeing that
Promising.
one. Yeah, that's promising. So yeah, have you seen Manorama Six Feet Under?
I have, but it was quite a long time ago, and I don't really remember it. The one of the writers of that film, Devika Bhagat, was
Mm.
a blog friend back in the blog days. We haven't said blog days for a while, so
Yeah.
take your drink, Lunchy. Um, and she was really fun to interact with there, and I got to meet up with her once in Mumbai. So that's one of her projects. So I remember hearing a little bit from her about that back in the day. I don't remember what she said exactly, but I remember that we did talk about it a little bit. So that was
Yeah.
that was cool.
One of the interesting things I found about Manorama Six Feet Under in the way that it deviates from Chinatown is the visual palette of the Roman Polanski movie is very dark, right? Like a
Sure.
lot of scenes are shot at nighttime in LA. So first of all, the setting is Los Angeles, and so it's urban, it's a metropolis. It's set in the 1930s, even though the film was made in the 1970s. But it's a bustling metropolis, and especially if you see Chinatown, it's like lit up and everything. But there's a lot of scenes at night because a lot of the shenanigans in the movie are actually happening in the dead of night,
Yeah.
because of course they are. And so there's a lot of darks in it. And then Faye Dunaway's costumes in this movie are
Mm.
amazing. She wears the most fabulous outfits and carries them off. She has those extremely pencil thin
Oh, dirty
eyebrows that she pulls
brows. Yeah.
off. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she wears those like bird's nest veils. I mean, she looks spectacular in this movie. And then Jack Nicholson is always in these like three-piece suits, and he is such a jerk, but he's so good at it. And like, seriously, Chinatown is a beautiful movie from like an aesthetic perspective, but it's a very visually dark movie, and the costumes in that movie are also very, very dark. So I just find it so mind-blowing that they took this movie that is about a very dark subject and is very visually dark and translated to a no-name town in Rajasthan, and almost all of Manorama Six Feet Under, most, I would say 90% of the film is shot in broad daylight.
Right.
It's
Right.
like in the oppressive midday sun of Rajasthan, and like the winds are blowing and people look sleepy and they all want to go for their siesta and they have no interest in doing any work except for poor Abhay Deol. And
Mm.
I love the fact that Navdeep Singh was able to transport it. It just shows you how great that story is, that they
Mm.
could transport it from LA to Lakot, and they could change it from like night to dark, and
Mm.
it still, it still works. Um,
Sounds like a lot of creativity on the part of the Indian crew to make this happen and like exchange the
yeah.
darkness for the oppressiveness of heat and light, instead of the mystery and secrecy of night. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
And there's actually a fun scene in Manorama Six Feet Under where Abhay Deol has had a particularly frustrating day. He has a lot of frustrating days in this movie, just to be fair. And he's had yet another extremely frustrating day. And he comes home and he's alone at home because his wife has she's fed up with him and she's going to Rohtak to her parents' house. And he just like sits on the couch and he's like, ugh, whatever. And he's like channel surfing. And the movie that is playing on television is actually Chinatown. And it's the scene where Roman Polanski breaks Jack Nicholson's nose like in a fight. And I was like, ah, he's watching Chinatown. So that was like a fun little thing that they did. Very rarely do I see a Hindi adaptation of a beloved Hollywood classic and think, okay, they did justice to it. But this one, I think they really pulled off the Chinatown story, and they really changed it for the Indian audience and the Milu without dumbing it down in any way. It's really good. I would highly recommend anybody listening to this episode watch Manorama Six Feet Under. It's really nice. Have you seen other Abhay Deol films, Beth?
Yeah, I've seen quite a few of his other, well, not all of them, but quite a few. And I remember, sorry, I say I remember and then I have to look it up. He did a kind of weird film in 2013 that Josh Hartnett was in.
Oh,
It's kind of a time travel sort of movie by Roland Jaffe, and it has, yeah, Josh Hartnett, Bipasha Basu, Tamsin Egerton, and Abhay Deol.
what
Oh,
is this movie? I've never heard of
of the
it.
Lovers. And I came across it once because this was before Josh Hartnett had kind of resurfaced. And I was like, what happened to him? Because he was such a big deal for a couple of years. Like Josh Hartnett was everywhere. And then I realized I hadn't seen him for a while. And I was like, oh, he's done this movie that is French, but also Indian, and I actually wrote it up for my column on my friend's website, The Cultural Gutter. So it's got sort of imperial Raji things happening.
Mm.
You know, I'm not going to recommend people watch it particularly, but yeah, so kind of stumbling across him and that was a big surprise. But also, I got 2 for 1 on my whatever happened to question because there he was because he had kind of off the
Yeah.
off the scene significantly by then, 2013. So not long. He did not sort of last long in a major way, even though I feel like everybody loves him
I know.
as an audience member. Now, if he's hard to work with, then
It's weird. It's like
ain't that.
I've seen a lot of like pot shots between him and Anurag Kashyap, for instance. Like they hate each other. Um, Anurag Kashyap has talked about how Abhay Deol was really throwing his weight around when they did a movie together, and he was all like, "Oh, I'm a Deol" or whatever. And then Abhay Deol came out swinging in interviews saying Anurag Kashyap is a liar and stuff like that. It was very like no holds barred. It was very entertaining. Let me just say, like I enjoyed watching those interviews where they were ripping into each other. I was like ready with my popcorn. But that's kind of what I've heard of. I also think he has that like infamous Deol reticence where they don't, like the Khanna brothers, the Deols also don't really like to like socialize and party, and they just kind of keep to themselves. And that's fine if you have a lot of offers coming your way, but otherwise I would imagine that like in every other field you do have to network, because people are going to give roles to you at least to some extent if they like you. I mean, he's a good actor, but it doesn't seem like he has like much of a sort of a network happening. And certainly the main Deols, Dharmendra and Sunny, it's not like they're not going to produce movies for him. So
Yeah.
it may be that like whole like reticent Deol issue thing happening. I have no idea, but I wish we could see more of him because I think he's really good.
He's got more films than I thought he did when I look at his filmography. So I have maybe seen a third of them, but and then he's doing some TV here and there as well. So he is doing more than I thought he was. So good for him, I guess. But yeah, that was one that I think a lot of us thought would be like, ooh, next big thing, and then
Yeah.
nope.
Yeah, I've seen Sochanatha Aista Aista. He was funny in Honeymoon Travels. He was so cute as the guy in the Parsi couple. He was funny as that. He was so, like so annoyingly like sacred sweet. Oh, lucky lucky. Oh, Dave D. He was amazing. That is the
Yeah, of
only Devdas adaptation I
course.
enjoy. That's the one that I think Anurag Kashyap and him and issues.
Just too bad,
Aisha,
because obviously what a
yes.
great pairing, what a good
I know.
team they, I mean, how much creative input did Abedil have? I don't know, but like that was a
Oh
good,
yeah.
certainly a good pairing.
And then these movies I've never heard of. Happy Bhag Jayegi, Nanu Ki Janu. What are these movies?
I've heard of
And
Happy,
then
but I haven't seen it.
Zero, Chopsticks Hero, Line of Descent, What Are the Odds, Velle, and Jungle Cry. I have not heard of any of these films. I have
Yeah,
no
I
clue what any of
haven't
this
heard
stuff
of
is.
quite a few of these either.
Yeah, it almost seems like he's not in the ins with like any of the like the big wigs. But it doesn't seem like he particularly gets along with the more indie people either. So I don't know, man. Maybe be a nice person along with being an actor or network or something.
Oh.
So for this episode for Yellow, were you thinking of any other films, or was Khoobsurat like the first thing that came to mind and you
Came
ran
to
with it?
mind pretty quickly, but my first thought was actually, oh, I should do another Juhi film because as we discussed in our episode on Juhi, she's so very strongly associated with yellow. And
Yes.
when I did a quick kind of Google for, yellow Bollywood costumes or whatever, that
Mm,
all her stuff, but it was also from things we've already talked about.
yeah.
But I did think about just doing another of hers because she's so fun to watch, and I haven't, I definitely have some more of her films to watch. Um, but then when Koopstaart came to mind, I was like, oh, I would love to watch that again. So,
Yeah.
and I did also think a little bit about, oh, is this another place for me to work in a Bengali film? And I'm sure I could have thought of something, but I don't know. I wanted to spend time with Koopstaart, so I did.
Yeah. I mean,
I
do
did,
what makes you happy.
and I do think it would be fun to explore yellow as flowers and things like that because we've not really done much with, I mean, yes, we both did plant related settings for green,
Yes.
forest and our Carolina
Nature re.
like that, but obviously some of these colors would pull in flowers really well, and obviously for pink, orange, and red that remain on our
Hmm.
colors, like that'll be a thing that we could do. Although that's not what my I've got my list in progress, and I that's not what I'm not sure that I will choose. But um, anyway, so yeah, that nothing presented a strong argument to Koopsaret for me, but I yellow is such a beautiful color to me, and I have always, for example, had at least one yellow room in my house. You can, if you're watching on YouTube, you see my dining room was inspired when a friend said, "You should paint your walls mango lassi colored." And my friend was quite inebriated at the time, but he was correct. I should, and I did. And I have my breakfast here every morning, and I love especially when the sun is
Yeah.
coming through the window. It's so glowy. I love it. I've always loved yellow. I've had a hard time, as many people do, finding a shade of yellow that they like to wear. But I do love yellows. If I can find something with a pattern that has yellow in it, I often will gravitate towards that. But
Hmm.
we try to wear the color when we're doing this series. I have two yellow things, and this is one of them. And it's May and it's quite warm out usually, but it's quite cold today, confusingly, so I could get out my yellow sweater, fortunately, because otherwise I don't
Yeah.
know what I was gonna do. Because the yellow shirt I thought I had, and when I pulled it out earlier, I'm like, that's really pushing it to be yellow. That's basically terracotta. Like, so about you, were there other yellow options that you considered?
I mean, the very first thing that came to mind was Manorama Six Feet Under, mostly because I had been jonesing to watch that movie again. I just tend not to rewatch some of my favorites because there's so many movies on my watch list,
Right.
and I'm like, no, no, let me try to get through this.
Does
Um,
Gulbenag wear a yellow outfit in this movie?
Not
In my
particularly.
head, so when you told me you were going to do this, that's what flashed to mind for me. But
Mm.
I don't actually know why I think that. So, and like I've
I
watched this in years. So,
Yeah, no, it was like I basically wanted an excuse to rewatch Manorama Six Feet Under, and also because I knew you were doing like a happy yellow movie, which
right.
is Kubsurat. So I really wanted to do a movie that explored like the fear and the seediness, and honestly, like the I'm so terrified I'm gonna puke my guts out or I'm gonna piss my pants aspect of yellow, which Abhideo literally like throws up in this movie when he realizes the shenanigans that are going on with Kulbhushan Kurbanda. And then I thought about Manorama Six Feet Under. Then I thought of Door, which is
Right.
funnily also a movie that has Gulpanag in it, and it is made by one of my favorite directors, Nagesh Kukunur. I love Door so much. It's such a sweet film. It has Aisha Takia, and Aisha Takia's yellow outfit in that movie is also very
Maybe that's
iconic.
what I'm thinking of. I swapped.
I think so. Because
Yeah,
in Door,
that's a good one.
Gulpanag is mostly wearing like salwar kameez situations and
Mhm.
like a dupatta draped around her shoulder, or like one shoulder sort of. But Aisha Takia is the one who's in a more like traditional Rajasthani outfit with like the ghungat and everything. And of course, that is also set in Rajasthan. So I was contemplating doing Dor as well, but Dor does not have as much of those associations of like seediness and fear and loathing and things like that as much as Manorama does. Manorama is like it's like a stomach churning film at parts when you because it's a slow burn and so you slowly realize what's going on. I also like that in Manorama 6 Feet Under, the town of Lakot has its own kind of culture and its own personality. Like there's all these looky loos over there. It's this very classic like small town thing of like people whose favorite pastime is people watching. Like there's a scene in this movie where they see Abhay Deol and Raiva Sen, and these two aunties, they're like just sitting like this and staring at them. And then when they leave, they just do this because the sun's in their eye and they're just watching TV. Like their whole life is like other people are their television.
Yeah.
And then yeah, so I really like that aspect of it, and also it was an excuse to rewatch Chinatown. When I think of yellow, also this is not like a plot point or a story, but I always think of the sarson ke khet, the mustard fields that Yash Raj Productions made so
Sure.
famous, as in DDLJ, the Ranveer Zara. Any movie that features Punjab always has the sarson ke khet. And in fact, in Napa, which is not super far from where I live, they do have mustard fields, and when they're in bloom, you can always see like Indian people like going crazy about it and always posting pictures on Instagram with like a
Nice.
wine glass and it's all the
Nice.
sarso in the background. So I definitely think of that. Also, when we did our green episode and we were talking about like iconic like green Bollywood costumes, and there were so few. And the ones I remembered were bad, like Madhuri Dixit's horrendous green outfit from Hum Aapke Kaun. But for yellow, I thought of so many wonderful outfits.
Mm,
So the first one that came to mind was Sri Devi's beautiful yellow and blue ghagra choli from Lamhe, from
mm,
that song Murni Bagama, where she's sitting by the bonfire
yeah.
and she's just staring off into the distance, and she
Mm,
looks so divine. And then also Sri Devi in that song Tere Mere Hoto Pe in Chandni, which is shot in Switzerland, and she's wearing this yellow chiffon sari with pearls, and the contrast against the green meadows,
mm,
beautiful, so
mm.
beautiful. um
One of my iconic yellow outfits or yellow movies, actually, and I can't remember, I can't believe I didn't think of this when you just asked me. Aya is a very yellow film to
it
me
is.
because Rani
Mm-hmm.
Mukherjee is often wearing yellow in that film. And then you
Yes.
see and she also wears like that really like rich, brilliant blue, kind of a
Mm-hmm.
peacock blue a lot. And then Prithviraj character also wears a lot of blue. And then you see his paintings have a lot of blue, but also with yellow, like so they do a lot with those two colors in that movie. But because we'd already talked about Aya, and because I knew
Yeah.
Ronnie was coming and I was going to re-talk about Aya, I didn't want to do that. But if I had not already done that film, that would have been my yellow.
Yeah. Lakin is also a very yellow film again because
Mhm.
it's Rajasthan and there's
Mhm.
forts and palaces and sands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Omkara is very yellow.
Mhm.
Another yellow outfit that I really love is actually Juhi Chawla's yellow outfit from Yes Boss.
Of course.
From that song Main Koi Aisa Geet Gaun, where Shahrukh is doing all of these shenanigans to cheer her up, and she
Yeah.
she looks so amazing in yellow. Yeah. I feel like yellow is just one of those colors that looks amazing on the Indian skin tone, which is why I think so many heroines have worn this very like iconic yellow. I also really love Kajal in Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, and that song Banno Ki Saheli, the wedding song, where she's
Oh,
wearing the yellow outfit and he comes wearing the black shalwar like she told him to wear, and she looks really good in that yellow as well.
mm.
So yeah, lots of iconic yellow outfits in Bollywood.
So many different shades of yellow because you'll get the very lemon,
Mm,
sorbet pale yellow, and
yes.
banana yellow, and mustard yellow, and gold, like a golden yellow.
Yeah.
So many mango yellow, mango's like
Hmm.
orangey yellow, right? Like so many beautiful, beautiful yellows to choose from.
Yeah, there's Madhuri Dixit's kind of like almost a canary yellow chiffon sari that she's worn at Anjam in the song where she's
Yeah,
seducing Shah Rukh Khan, although we know she wants to kill him.
right.
That's a really beautiful yellow as well. It's like lots of iconic yellow outfits, but I don't think Bollywood has quite explored the negative side of yellow because anytime you see like a Bollywood movie that is like a thriller or like a noir movie or a gangster movie or an action movie, they're almost never yellow. Again, it's that Chinatown template where all of those films tend to be dark.
Is
There's
there
lots of grays and blacks.
is there an Indian adaptation of the yellow wallpaper?
I don't think there is, but there should be.
That
That is a great story.
that'd be quite because yellow, I think, at least in the version of America I have grown up in and live in, yellow also sometimes has a disconcerting kind of unnerving thing to it. And
Mm,
I think it is partly because a lot of um maybe it's mostly white people I'm thinking of that like we tend to find yellow doesn't flatter us and people feel like, oh,
mm,
I like yellow, but it makes me look sick or whatever, right? Like it gives me a funny. So there's something, and like yellow is a caution sign when you think about
yes.
road signs, and school buses in America are yellow because it's so high visibility
Yeah.
safety, right? So yellow it can have kind of a like a
Like watch out.
yeah, and like a prodding, like it's a high energy, like don't ignore me, but also not just for positive reasons, like yeah,
Hmm.
watch out, pay attention, um,
Hmm.
kind of thing to it. So yeah, and then of course, like in traffic lights, yellow means slow down, something's about to change, which is that would be an interesting vibe to do in a we could find movies like that where yellow is, you know,
Also, those crosswalk people, like when they're helping
yeah,
school kids cross, they're wearing those
high
yellow vests as
visibility
well.
yellow.
Yeah. You know what I just thought of, which is so terrible? But you know those awful "Don't tread on me" flags
Right.
with the snake on it,
Yeah.
and there's like so unhinged. Those are yellow as well, which is
Yeah.
like
So yellow's
interesting choice of color.
definitely a high impact color. I remember, in the summer of 2020 after the murder of George Floyd, like there were all those Black
Mm,
Lives Matter like paintings that used yellow on the roads because yellow is when you combine yellow with like a public space, it often has like this is an official statement and it's a warning
hmm.
kind, right? Like so yellow at first I was like, just is kind of sunny and cheerful. I'm like, no, there's actually a lot going on with yellow. I did do an extremely quick Google to try to figure out why yellow bellied is a thing that we say to mean
Yeah.
scared. And I didn't get very far, and then I got distracted by something else and didn't finish looking. So I kept intending to look for that, but it is
I
a
wonder if it has something to do with like I don't know if you've read those like old like during like Renaissance times and stuff when they would talk about the humors of the body
sure. Yeah.
and they would say like the sanguine
Right.
temperament or the bilious temperament or whatever, which kind of correlates a little bit to the Ayurvedic idea of like doshas, like
Mhm.
pitta dosha and vata kapha, all of that. And there is an so the bilious nature that they talk about in Ayurveda, that is pitta dosh, and bile is also yellow, and bile is also associated with fear. So which is why when you're fearful you get nauseous, right? Like you get a pit in your stomach, because they do say that the gut is the second brain. And like I hate going to hospitals, even if it's for something as super routine as just getting like blood draw or checkup or something. I just don't like the smell of hospitals. You walk in and there's that very like antiseptic smell that I despise. And always I have like a pit in my stomach, and I don't quite have like a gag reflex, like I'm not going to get nauseous and stuff, but there's always this like pit in my stomach, and I can often feel like the bile rising. So I can see where yellow has these associations of like bile and anxiety and
Yeah.
like
Setting.
nervousness.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like it's not quite like enraging or like terrifying, but it's just the sense of like unease, like
Unease. There you
something's
go. Yeah.
not quite right.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of like a little bit of a warning sign, like just
Interesting.
a little smidge of something.
All these
Yeah,
coming together. That's very interesting.
yeah.
Yellow is, of course, a food is a color that I associate with a lot of foods that I do really like. So, like all the delicious fruits that are yellow, um,
Fries.
fries, yeah, like a golden brown
Yes.
French fry or like a pound cake, or all the yellow desserts that are so good.
Or lemony goods,
Like caramel
limoncello.
caramel's kind of yellow, like somewhere
Yeah.
in between the line between yellow and brown. And I know I spent forever talking about things that are good that are brown when we did our brown episode, so I won't do that
Yes.
again. But yellow is a color I certainly don't want to do without in my life at all. It's
Yeah.
in addition to my mango dining room. There are some
Yeah.
beautiful yellow things that I love. And a yellow pencil, like back to
Yeah.
school is yellow because of your fresh yellow pencils. Like it's just again, a very high vis,
Yellow
energetic.
is also one of those colors that you see in all three of the four seasons, right? Like spring is very yellow with like all
Mhm.
the new shoots that are shooting up and stuff like that. Pollen, of course, which is the
Uh,
bane of many of my
a lot
friends'
of flowers
existence.
are yellow. Yeah.
Summers are yellow, like, just the yellow sun shining down on you and
Fireflies.
sunflowers. Yeah.
Mhm.
All of that. Bonfires on the beach, that's yellow.
Mhm.
And then fall, of course, brings with it the yellow and the orange leaves as
Golden
well. So it's
yellow. Yeah, it's
definitely a
true.
color that spans like those three
Yeah.
seasons at least, if
Yeah.
not winter though.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting.
In winter, you get the pale yellow of the paler sun, which is, not
Mm,
my favorite yellow, but I feel like every now and again it glimpses through. Well, around here it's very gray in the winter, so we're always glad to
right.
whatever version of the sun presents itself, we are happy to have.
Right. Yeah, in California, it's almost like a rule. Like in winter, every single store has to play Hotel California. Like they just have to.
How dare you say that out loud? I
They
thought we
do.
were friends. It's
They
stuck in
just
my
they
head.
have to. You can't escape it. Like you will be walking down like in an outdoor mall or something, and like some random store like will be like blaring out Hotel California. My favorite thing is, so like I live in the Bay Area, so it's Northern California, but it always cracks me up because I lived for 14 years in Chicago. And when you go down to LA in winter, you see all of the Angelenos, like especially the older ladies, you see older Angeleno ladies wearing fur coats and it's 70 degrees.
I
And I'm
know. The
like, why are you?
Chicagoans are there in their shorts and t-shirts and football.
Exactly. It's like,
Any
who are these weirdos? Nice. Okay. Did you, so are we in agreement that the person that most embodies yellow in Bollywood is Juhi Chawla?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anyone else who's like a close contender? You think like maybe Preeti Zinta?
Yeah, I feel she has some yellow in Verzara, right? That she wears
Hmm.
like again the sort of lemon chiffon, paler yellow.
Yeah.
I feel like I could find a nice yellow, an outfit in yellow that I like on all the actors and actresses, basically. Like,
Hmm.
I feel like everyone has worn yellow, and of course, there's a lot of beautiful, again, where's the line between yellow and white? Like creams or ivories.
Mm.
So many people
Beiges.
like, and like the grooms are wearing those beautiful, very fancy brocades and those kind of cream
Yeah.
like that. So if you kind of throw that in, like I feel like everybody's got some nice yellow
Yeah. A
pink.
lot of those like Umrao Jan E
Yeah.
movies that are like set in Awadh and Lucknow and stuff, they're so yellow as well.
Here's a thing that I did not think of until I'd already committed myself to Khoobsurat, but I actually have a playlist of Indian film songs set in Egypt.
Oh,
Or fake Egypt, like have Egyptian
okay.
sets for a big song spectacular or whatever. So that's another one, like ancient Egypt, again, gold as much as yellow, but big yellow sand.
Right.
Pyramids are yellow, basically, right? So,
Yeah.
um,
And in Suraj Madham, which it's Egypt, I think Kajal is wearing like a yellow sari in that one as well. Kajal looks really good in yellow, I have to say. So yeah, there's Egypt for sure. Egypt, Rajasthan, and then I would say the hinterland, although like some of those movies are more in the brown,
yeah.
more in the
And also,
brown
as you said,
region.
the flowers of
Hmm.
tulips or mustard or whatever.
Yeah. There's a lot of yellow even when they do these movies, like where they have, again, it's very faux, but it's this very faux like gypsy thing that they have going on, like what is that song from Sholay that we love, the Helen song, Mehbooba Hai
Yeah.
Mehbooba.
Mhm.
All of the songs are like Aruna Irani in the 1 million gypsy avatars that she's done, right? Like there's a lot of yellow in that. There's always a bonfire happening. Those looks like so much fun. Like
Mhm.
I want to be a villain in Sholay, like who has done like just horrible things all day long, and then they just get to like relax with like a bottle of moonshine with like Helen dancing. Like that's so unfair. I don't even
Yeah.
commit any crimes, Beth. And when I come from work, there's no one like entertaining me next to a bonfire.
No.
Why does Gabbar have a better life than me?
Hmm. Good question.
Because life is unfair. That's why. Um, okay. Is there a male actor you associate with the yellow, or do we feel like yellow is mostly reserved for the
Oh,
women because it's mostly women who are playing the bright, chirpy, bubbly Juhi Chawla, Preeti Zinta's characters?
no one leaps to mind, although again,
Mm.
I bet if I trolled through all my gazillion screen grabs, I would find most of them in yellow of some form or other. Like Rishi must have yellow jumpers, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I feel like Feroz Khan has a fair bit of yellow and browns, mostly because of his like whole like Western like
yeah,
cowboy fascination that he has.
I bet a lot of them have it somewhere or other, but yeah, nothing. I feel like I've seen a movie with Dharmendra wearing like a red and yellow striped sweater, but
I
that
can believe that.
I think it's one with Zenat, and I can't believe I don't remember which film it is, but yeah, no, no one major comes to mind, but I bet it's there.
I the only two things I'm thinking of, and this is interesting, I'm thinking aloud right now, but there's two iconic yellow outfits worn by men, and funnily, they're meant to be laughed at. One is Amir Khan as Munna in Rangila.
Oh,
Remember
of
when he shows up
course. Of course.
in the
That is
yellow
the
shirt
most iconic
and
Bollywood
the
yellow
little
outfit. Yes, of
and the
course.
kerchief. But see, he's meant to be funny and he's meant to
Yeah.
be silly and not to be taken seriously, unlike the suave film star Jackie Shroff. And then there's also Anil Kapoor with his yellow knotted shirt in Ram Lakhan in One Two Kapoor in the
Oh,
song
sure.
AGOG. And again,
Yeah.
he's also meant to be funny. So
So it's a
maybe,
Tapuri color.
yeah. So maybe it's like if you're wearing yellow. Also, I'm pretty sure Rishi Kapoor has worn bright yellow in that song Tayyab Ali Pyar Ka Dushman Hi Hi from Naseeb. I love that song. Um,
Oh.
I mean, he's definitely worn the mesh vest, which I love, with the parrot green. But I feel like when they make leading men wear yellow in Bollywood, they're meant to be made fun of and they're not to be taken seriously. It's always comic. Like, I'm pretty sure Govinda has worn so much yellow in all of his films. It's like,
Why do you think that is?
I think it's because yellow is seen as unserious and it's seen
Okay.
as like, unserious and bubbly and funny, and it's like men
Is
shouldn't
it
be
is it supposed
bubbly
to
and funny.
be is it supposed to be juvenile
Maybe,
associated with kids?
or like a simpleton,
Hmm.
because Lakhan's character in Ram Lakhan, Anil Kapoor's character, is definitely seen as like a little bit of a joke compared to Jackie Shroff, his more like serious older brother.
Hmm.
And then Munna, I mean, literally Munna is a term of endearment used for children, which it's like calling someone baby. He's a grown ass man who is a ticket
Yeah.
scalper, and he's called Munna, even in his like
Yeah.
like his well into his adulthood. And so there's maybe an association of like being a simpleton or being like juvenile or silly, not to be taken seriously. So maybe it's code for telling the audience, you can root for this person in terms of thinking of him as the underdog, but he's not going to get the girl, he's not going to be the hero, even though of course in Ram Lakhan he does get the heroine, but
Yeah.
he's a tapori, so it's like it's fine. But yeah, I don't know if I can think of a leading man wearing yellow in like a I am a smart and sophisticated person kind of way. I feel like it's more like I am silly.
Somebody must have like a suit with a yellow shirt under it or something at some point, but nothing is leaping to mind.
I think Shashi has worn his fair share of like yellow
That's
kerchiefs
what
and
I think
cravats,
too.
but
Yeah.
I don't know if he's
Or
worn
like
like a
patterned
full on
yellow.
yellow.
Yeah.
Right. But like full, doesn't he wear like a yellow shirt with like a tweed jacket in Kabhi Kabhi?
Yes, he does. Yes, I can
Yeah.
picture it now when yeah.
That's a very fall palette that he has going
Uh-huh.
on.
The scene where he's kind of like
So,
palling around with Rishi in that one. Yeah.
and again, but again, that is Shashi as wee. It's Shashi wee
Yeah,
Kapoor.
and it's
It's
only
not
a small amount
serious.
of it. Yeah.
Right.
I can't imagine him in a yellow suit, although watch me say that
No.
and someone will send me a screen grab.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying it's never happened, but I don't picture it.
Yeah.
A thing that I just thought of is taxis.
Oh yeah. The Kali Pilis as well. Yeah. Taxis are
Yeah.
yellow. It's like an eye-catching color, right? Like you can't, it's one of those you can love me or hate me, but you can't ignore
Ignore
me
me, right.
kind of colors. So maybe it's also like movie code, cinema code for this is a character to watch out for. You may love them, you may hate them, but you're not gonna forget them. So maybe that's what it's meant to be. Because there's so many iconic Hollywood outfits that are yellow as well. Of course, we love Shara Horowitz from Clueless.
Yeah.
Alicia Silverstone's amazing yellow tweed outfit. I love Kate Hudson's yellow low back
Right.
dress from How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. That's beautiful, like
Right.
especially with her blonde hair. Oh, blondes in Hollywood, always associated with that sunny charm, right? Like blonde is code for she's happy and popular and pretty. And
Well, unless she's a Hitchcock blonde, in which case she's
ah,
icy.
yeah,
Like the paler, again,
the
the paler
platinum
yellow.
blonde.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like Jean Harlow and her, now obviously her movies were black and white, but the platinum blonde and Madonna when she went platinum blonde
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
around. But yeah, blonde is a whole other thing.
Yeah, but blonde is definitely like a whole and it just carries so much baggage with it, right?
Yeah.
Like one of my really good friends, she's of Irish like origin or whatever. And so she's American, but like Irish ethnicity, and she's very, very pale, and she has beautiful bright blue eyes and platinum blonde. And I was completely shocked to discover she's actually a brunette.
Oh,
It's all fake. And she told me, she was like, oh yeah, I can't meet you for lunch tomorrow because I have to go to the hairdresser. I was like, how often do you go to the hairdresser? Like you were just there like
it
10
would have
days
to
ago.
be, that's a lot of work.
That's a lot of bleaching is what it is. That's
Well,
a lot
like
of ammonia.
if I remember right, Jean Harlow's mother did hers every week,
Wow.
up the hair every week. And those were, 1930s harsh chemicals. So that's not good.
I think I read that about Shirley Temple or someone also, where it was like, they were constantly being like, dyed and everything. Yeah, but I was completely shook when I discovered my friend was actually a brunette. She showed me pictures of herself from childhood, and I was like, your hair is literally dark brown, and her hair was platinum the entire time I've known her. She's had platinum blonde hair, and I was like, this sounds like a lot of work. And she was like, oh, believe me, it is, and it's expensive.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that is some commitment. But you know what? She looks great with it because she has the complexion and
Totally.
the eyes to go with it. So it looks so
Yeah.
good on her. But also I was like, wow, that's a lot of effort.
Mhm.
Yeah. What's another very iconic yellow outfit is Jim Carrey's yellow suit from The
Oh,
Mask.
yeah.
So again, there's that
A
association
clown.
with the men and a clown.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Whereas with the women, when Cher Horowitz wears yellow, or when Andy from, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, she's beautiful and she's desirable and she's sexy. So very, very interesting. It's
Very
almost,
look at me.
yeah, but
Mm,
it's almost kind of like if a man wears yellow, it's like, it's look at me, but also laugh at me. Not laugh with me, laugh at me.
at me.
And I'm a clown. And if a
Interesting.
woman wears it, she's not clownish, she's desirable. So I find that very interesting
That's
also.
very interesting. Um,
Like, is there a sexy, desirable man in yellow? Like, does Fawad wear yellow at any point in this movie in Khoobsurat or no?
Not that I remember. He has gold embroidery on some things,
Okay.
but I can't, nothing comes to mind. Oh, Emma Stone's got that yellow dress in La La Land that you see on
Oh,
the
yeah.
stairs. That's
So
another one.
beautiful.
Um, Belle in Beauty and the Beast wears a lot of yellow, if I recall correctly. But to the
Yes.
quick, like, iconic yellow outfits in Hollywood. And oh, well, this is not Hollywood, but Lemonade.
Right. Yeah.
That is a you will pay attention kind of show, right? But yeah. Um, oh, Rihanna's big
Interesting.
yellow dress at the Met Gala. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, lots of, but I think that the Clueless one is definitely for me would be the
The
most
most iconic yellow.
yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of oh, interesting. On this list, they list from Entertainment Weekly, they list Frida Pinto in Slumdog Millionaire has a yellow outfit.
I, I
Uh,
remember her yellow dupatta that she wears, kind of like a stole, but is it a yellow outfit? I don't remember that very
yeah,
clearly.
yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
Interesting. I
ooh,
feel like if there's any culture where it's completely acceptable for men to wear any color that they want without any kind of like presumptions attached, or like just perceptions attached to it, it's probably Indian culture, because men
Oh,
can
yeah.
wear all shades of pink and reds and oranges and yellows and all the things, and it's totally fine. It's completely acceptable. There's nothing problematic about it. Like literally, one of the gods wears yellow, right? Like it's Vishnu. Vishnu always wears yellow. I think he's called Pitambar, which is he who wears yellow.
Mm.
But I think outside of, but even within that, I can't think of too many iconic Bollywood yellow outfits for men where they're not being laughed at.
Mm.
So this almost, I hesitate to use the word disdain, but it almost feels as if there's almost a little bit of a disdain associated with men wearing yellow.
That's
And
really,
I
really
think that's
interesting.
sad.
I hope people who are listening will tell us
Yeah.
examples either with or either refute that or support it. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I will say that in real life, I've seen a lot of Indian men wear yellow because, like, when you go for Indian shadis or Diwali or, anything like that, Holi,
Mhm.
whatever, you often see men wearing like yellow kurtas. Like, it's so common for a man to be wearing like a yellow chicken curry kurta or like a yellow sherwani or to be wearing like a yellow dhoti outfit or something like that. Super, super common. And also a lot of the designers, like if you look at like Masaba Gupta or Tarun Tahiliani or Manish Malhotra, whatever, they will make a lot of like men's outfits, like formal Indian wear, ethnic wear, where they're wearing like marigold yellow or colors like that. And especially in shadis, you'll see men wearing these like bright colors, and then they'll wear like a baby pink turban, right? Like they'll wear for the wedding the
Mhm.
shadi ka turban. And so that's fine. But even those Indian men, I don't know if they're wearing yellow in real life. I also wonder, is it just because there just isn't a lot of yellow available? Like, when you go shopping, how many yellow outfits do you see in the
Yeah,
store?
I mean, in the US, I don't think it's particularly
Mm-mm.
common. I will say, I feel like I notice more men of color wearing yellow than I do white men,
Mm,
especially black men. So if you
right.
like drive by
Yes.
the black church on Sunday, like I feel like there's
Yeah.
going to be men in yellow. So again, there's all these different cultural things happening with all the colors that we're talking about with color
Yeah.
always, but yellow is I don't know, yellow is particularly interesting this way, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, lots to think about. I think I'm going to go to the library and get some books on like fashion and see what they have to say about the color yellow in fashion.
Yeah.
What is your favorite shade of yellow, just in general, and what is your favorite shade of yellow to wear?
Oh, well, this sort of mango-y yellow is probably my
Hmm.
favorite at the moment, although I love lots of yellows. And I don't think I have found the shades of yellow that are the best for my skin tone in terms of either not washing me out or not making me look kind of pink, interestingly.
Mm.
Like, so I haven't quite got it figured out yet, but it's a struggle I enjoy because I love yellow. So
Yeah. I feel like mustard yellow looks really nice on you, actually.
maybe this is the one. We'll see.
Yeah, I feel like mustard is definitely your color. What yellows do I like? I I think my favorite I think my favorite yellow is lemon yellow, just because it's so like zesty and refreshing and cheery and happy. Having
So
said that, it is,
like the background of the shirt you have on.
yes, like my yellow shirt that I have on.
It's kind of
But I
light,
think,
but it's still bright.
yeah, it's
Mhm.
quite light. But I don't know if lemon yellow particularly looks good on me. I think I look best in marigold, like a
Mm.
darker or like a mustard yellow or something like that. But of course, I'm not as attracted to that color as I am to lemon yellow, because of course I want to wear the thing I can't wear. But I mean, I still wear lemon
Gross you
yellow,
out.
even though it
Yeah.
looks so on me. Okay. Does that conclude this episode, or do you have anything else to add about yellow?
I don't think I do, except, well, I just thought of this, that of course there's that song from the 60s, Mellow Yellow, in the drink
I don't
called
know
Mellow
that song.
Yellow, but oh, there's a by Donovan, they call her Mellow Yellow.
Okay.
So I feel like that's a phrase I've heard sometimes, mellow yellow, but I don't
Hmm.
I don't think of yellow as mellow, which is
Yeah, I don't.
maybe that's why that song came about. I don't know, but
There's also that other famous song with yellow, itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini.
yeah. And
Yeah,
again,
that's more of a,
fun and notice me and summer.
yeah. And it's summer, so you're at the pool, you're wearing like an itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow, and it's polka dots also, which again has
Yeah.
this association with like playfulness and
Yeah.
happiness and
Clown
things.
almost, right? Like you can imagine.
Again,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's yeah.
Yeah. But what does that say about our society in general, where is being playful and happy and positive almost conflated with being a clown or being ditzy or being someone that shouldn't be taken seriously? And does it mean that if you're wearing like the darker, more serious colors like blacks and charcoal grays and navies and things like that, then you are an important person and you should be taken seriously? Because that's also the kind of the premise of all of those movies where blondes are portrayed as ditzy, and then they actually show you that they're smarter than you are, like Legally Blonde, or any of the Marilyn Monroe movies, and like Gentlemen Prefer Blondes and stuff like that, right? But
Yeah.
that's kind of sad. It's like, why would you associate positivity and happiness with being silly and ditzy?
I mean, I think the sort of quick answer is because it is for people who don't care about things, because if you care, then you know
Mm.
how serious and bad everything is. So if you're lighthearted, it just means you're not paying attention or you have no responsibilities, right? So you are
Right.
either rich or you are a
Or
child
Clueless, like the
or
movie.
clueless, or in, more gendered things, you are a woman who stays at home and you don't have to worry about the big bad business world or whatever, right? And so again, maybe that's why men in yellow seems to be a little trickier for our in our discussion than women in yellow. But
Right.
I'm not sure. I'm not saying that that's conscious all the time by any means, but I feel like I'm kind of pulling that out of this larger conversation, maybe.
Yeah. I think so. That's sad. I think actually, if anything, I would say that it takes more courage to be positive and to be optimistic and to be sunny and cheerful when you know how bad things are.
There's that too. Or like I'm deciding to do this other because I have had enough of that, or I want other people to experience some joy, and not just
Yeah.
yeah.
Like it's like you read the news and you're aware of how terrible stuff is, and yet you choose to smile and
Right.
laugh
Right.
and go for long walks with your dog, because we all know that that is the antidote to sadness.
Mm.
Um, okay. I think that concludes this episode, and our next color episode is probably going to be orange.
Orange,
Yes,
yeah.
yay! I have not come up with my orange movie yet, Beth. I better get cracking on that. Okay, we will see you guys next week. Please let us know in the comments what you think of the color yellow. Do you agree with us that Juhi Chawla is the filmy embodiment of the color yellow? Is there any male star that you associate with the color yellow? Please let us know. And also tell us what movies you think of if you think of the color yellow. And please go and watch Manorama Six Feet Under. You will
Mm.
not be disappointed. You don't have to watch Chinatown to get it, but honestly, it would be such a great treat, a double treat, if you will, if you watched Chinatown followed by Manorama Six Feet Under. You can't go wrong with either movie. And we will see you next week. Bye.